I want to take a few minutes to talk about money management because it's a really important part of your Mary Kay business. Whether you feel confident with money management, you've always been really good with your own personal budget or with any money that you've had to deal with at your other job, or whether you're like, oh my gosh, money is something I've never managed well. It doesn't matter because the thing is, this is starting fresh. You're a new business owner, and we want to start off with the right habits, which may be different from things that you've done before, but ultimately are very simple and very easy because I would say that fiscal mismanagement is one of the major reasons why Mary Kay businesses fail. People are getting in money, they're spending their money, they're not taking their profit, they're taking too much of a profit, whatever it is, and they find themselves putting themselves right out of business. But I want you to remember that you are a business owner, just the same way as if you were the president of Best Buy, or whether you started your own hair salon. It doesn't matter what kind of business. You are the president of your Mary Kay company, and you need to run your finances in a way that a proper business person should. So there are basically two ways of money management with Mary Kay, all right? And one happens when you're at profit level, and one happens when you're not at profit level. So let me explain the difference between that. First of all, profit level is when you have enough inventory on your shelf that you don't feel that you need any more. Okay, so the ideal situation with a Mary Kay business is that you go to a party or you go to a facial or you get a reorder and you have the stuff there and you can hand them over their order and they give you the money and the deal is done. And that is perfect because from a time management perspective, from a happy customer perspective, that's the best way for this situation to work. And how much inventory you do need to be at profit level? It depends on the consultant. Usually it's somewhere between 1,800 and 2,400 wholesale. So a lot of being at profit level has to do with, first of all, how much did you start with? Did you start with no inventory? Did you start with the 2,400? Did you start with the 1,200? Like, what do you have? And you pretty much know when you're at profit level when you don't keep running out of things that you need. So when you can go to a party and fill almost all of your orders, then you're probably at profit level. And I'm saying almost, not entirely all of your orders, because sometimes people, you'll have 3 people at the party order the same lipstick. And very few consultants carry 3 of the same lipstick, nor should they. We just don't need that many of each color. So sometimes that happens. Sometimes someone will call and they'll want 5 of the same thing, or they'll want a random product you've never even heard of. Never mind something that you sell on a regular basis. So there are some things in our catalog that we don't need to have in our inventories to be able to provide excellent customer service. So I don't expect someone to have everything to be at full inventory. But if you want to be at profit level, that means that you have enough inventory where when it's time for you to take the money that people gave you and place your order to Mary Kay, you're not trying to get extra stuff. Because when people are not at profit level, then what they tend to do is, let's say they don't have much inventory, they have no inventory, they have some inventory, but not that much. And then they go and they have a $300 party. Then they'll say, okay, I've got $300 here that I collected. So, half technically is mine, half is I have to send to fill these orders, but maybe I'll send it all to Mary Kay. And then they'll send me extra products and I'll build up my inventory. So for some people, that's their strategy for building up their inventory. And they're not at profit level because they're not taking a profit. And if you don't have a full inventory, then that's kind of what you need to do to get one. You look at wherever you are with inventory, and if you can't just go out and order the rest of your inventory so you have enough, then you reinvest your profits. It's not ideal because it takes a while, but it's doable. So that's how you get yourself to profit level. So it's really easy to manage your money when you're not at profit level because that's how it works. People give you money, you send it all to Mary Kay, they give you products, you give out what they owe, and the rest goes to your inventory. And you build up and you build up until you're at the point where you're like, all right, I have enough. That's it. You just send it all to Mary Kay. Now, where it gets more interesting and way more fun is when you are at profit level, which is one of the reasons why we encourage that consultants start with inventory, like a good 1,800 wholesale inventory when they can, because those people start making money right away. And so sometimes when people come into Mary Kay and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't have any money, I'm joining Mary Kay to earn more money, they think inventory, I don't know if I want to do that because I'm joining Mary Kay to make money. But the problem is that when you start with no inventory and you're trying to build it up slowly through your sales, then you're not taking a profit. So I prefer to see someone come in, get an 1,800 wholesale. Every month, the first $100 you spend, you sell, that $100 comes in, you put it back on your initial investment, back into your savings, your credit card, you borrowed it from your grandma, wherever you got the money from, I don't know where you got the money from. And then you get to take your profit, so you can get a paycheck right away. So for people that really need money, they're better off getting an inventory and then kind of paying that a little bit each month, and then you can get a paycheck every month from Mary Kay. So, if you got to think about where you got your money for your inventory. Most people start with some inventory. So if you start it with, whether you start with a credit card or whether you started, you got the money from your own savings, or whether you got the money from your mom or wherever you get the money, you want to pretend that it's a bank loan. Okay, maybe you did get a bank loan. Most people don't though. But let's say you did. What you do is every month you put $100 back to that initial investment. And that is non-negotiable, whether it's going back into your savings account, back on the credit card, whatever. Even if your mom loaned it to you, you have to pay her back every penny, because this is how a business is started. Normally when someone opens a hair salon, like I said, or a Best Buy, you're taking out this massive loan to open that up. We don't do that. Our numbers are a lot smaller, but you want to treat it the same way. So the first payment of the month goes to that. Now, if you used a credit card, which a lot of people do use, I have no problems with a credit card if you have a low interest rate, then a rule about that is that you can never charge on that card again until your inventory is paid off. Because sometimes what happens is people put their inventory on a credit card, which is fine, low interest rate, and they say, I'm going to pay it off every month. But then they go and they're like, oh, I need to get a little more product. So they add it, and then they make a payment. And then they go, oh, you know what? I need this pink bookcase, and I need this new dress for Mary Kay. And before you know it, they're adding on so many random Mary Kay expenses that aren't even important expenses. And they're like, gosh, I've been working so long and my credit card isn't paid off. Well, that's because you've been charging up all the stuff you shouldn't be charging. Your initial investment should be treated like a bank loan, and it only goes down. You don't add anything else to it, okay? Anything else you need to buy can come out of your profits, okay? So I know that you make a 50% profit in that we get a 50% discount. But from now on, I want you to pretend that you make a 40% profit. And here's why. Because there are some expenses that we have with our Mary Kay business. For example, we have shipping, right? When we get our orders mailed to us, this $9, $10 shipping, something like that. And also we sometimes need to get samples, right? We need a few Section 2 items, maybe a new pack of face cloths, another thing of eyeliner samples, whatever. And then finally, we do the preferred customer program, and that's where Mary Kay will mail catalogs 4 to 5 times a year to our clients if we want them to. 70 cents a name. It's how we get a big, reorder business. So what I want you to do from here on in is decide that your profit is 40%, not 50%. And that little extra 10% is going to sit in your Mary Kay account. And then when it's time to sign up for the preferred customer program, or when you're placing an order and you have to add on shipping and you have to add on some samples, the money's there to cover it. That's not coming out of your own account where you're trying to come up with the money. So what I recommend doing is having a checking account that is your Mary Kay account. And it should be used only for Mary Kay. Sometimes what people do is they'll say, oh, well, I'll just use my regular checking account because how many transactions they're going to be? I can just keep track of it, or I can write it down. No, you can't do that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the president of Best Buy, you go into Best Buy and you buy a TV and he takes that credit card money or that cash that you give him and put it in his personal checking account, the same thing he uses to pay his dog walker and buy his groceries, he'd go to jail. He'd get a disc called embezzlement. We don't do that. You would have your own separate account. Now, when you go to the bank to get your account, don't tell them it's a business account. You don't have to. It's some people do. They're like, it's for my Mary Kay. And they're like, ooh, a business account, because there are fees on there and the checks are expensive. You don't need a business account. You just need a free personal checking account. That's all you need. And then you're going to need someplace to put your profits. So I don't know if you've decided what your profits are going to be for. Some people, they say, I know what it's going to be for. I'm putting every month towards my car payment. I'm going to put it every month towards this credit card bill that I've had for 3 years that I'm trying to pay off. Some people say, well, I have a vacation fund, and every penny's going in the vacation fund. So if you know very clearly exactly what your Mary Kay profits are for, then great. That's where you put your profits at the end of the month. If you're not exactly sure, then I would recommend getting a separate savings account and putting all your Mary Kay profits in that. So at the end of the month, you transfer out your profit, and that's your paycheck, and that's where it goes until you figure out what you're going to do with your money. Okay? So when getting a free checking account, what's nice is they're also going to give you a debit card, right? So after you make your initial investment, you're not using credit cards anymore to place your orders. You'll only be placing orders using your Mary Kay debit account from the money that you collect from your clients. So there's no additional orders that you have to come up with money for after the fact, okay? So what you do is, let's say for the month you sold $1,000. So you had 3 parties, you sold $1,000. And so how would you divide up that money? You would say, okay, well, 60% stays in the account because that's going to cover the cost of those products that you need to replace. and your tax, your readers, all that. And then, so that's $600 stays there. And when you order those products that you sold, that is now covered. There'll be a little bit left over for the next time you have to place an order for the preferred customer program. 400 is your profit, okay? Now there's one expense that comes out of your profit, and that would be your initial investment. So if you put your inventory on a credit card or you took it out of your savings, so that $100 a month, that comes from your 40%. So of your $400 profit, you take that out and you put it on that credit card or back to your mom or back into your savings account so that you are paying down that initial investment, everything like that. And then the rest is your profit. And that is what you would use your paycheck for, whatever you've decided to use your Mary Kay money for. And I do recommend coming up with something that's important to you, whether it's a certain bill every month that you pay or saving up for something special. But what I don't recommend is just shoving it into your main personal checking account and let it get eaten up by, like, you go to the store and then, like, you pay like the water bill or something, and then you're like, where did my Mary Kay money go? Like, pick a certain bill you're going to pay or pick a certain thing you're saving up for. It feels a lot better when you can say, every month I pay the electric bill and my car payment out of my Mary Kay. Like, that's something to say, as opposed to, well, whatever I make, I put in the account. Like, set something. Okay, the only other expenses that you would have would be if you're doing some sort of like a training thing, like let's say you're going to the weekly meeting and that's $6, or let's say you're going to a special conference, then that would come out of your profit as well. But what you want to try and do is keep your expenses low. Like, I do have people call me and say, oh my goodness, I just bought the prettiest bookcase. It has pink flowers on it. I'm going to put my inventory on it. Okay, that's great, but that was not a necessary Mary Kay expense. You didn't have to do it. You could have used the boxes that the products came in, or you could have gone to Craigslist and got a bookcase for $10 probably. So just keep your expenses low. And then if you have any other expenses that, other than training, the only other thing I would say would be something that would make you money, like a lead generating event. Like if you're going to spend $50 to be part of a bridal fair to get a lot of leads or something like that. But other than that, you want to really try and not, you don't want to do it. Like, advertising doesn't tend to get us anything. Printed ad, people will come to you and say, oh, will you put an ad in our book? You won't make a lot of money from doing that, or any. So I don't recommend doing that. You want to have as much cash as you can in your pocket. Now, there are 3 ways that people can get into fiscal mismanagement with Mary Kay. And one way, the first way, is over ordering. So this is when people want to order inventory that they don't necessarily need, usually to win prizes. Okay, so someone will be like, oh, well, I only sold this much, but there's a prize I can earn if I place a $600 order or an $800 order. So I'll just put on a credit card. And so that can be a problem. Now, if someone was, trying to win the 600 wholesale prize and you only need to order like 570 and you were like $30 away and you have a booking coming up next week, if it were me, I'd probably do the 600. But if you only needed to place a 400, but you order 600 and that goes on a credit card, then you're starting the next month behind. And then you're trying to catch up. So you want to be very careful about that, because it's fun to win prizes in Mary Kay. But the better thing to do is to stop and say, like 3 days before the end of the month, you're like, oh, I only need a 400 wholesale, but I really wanted to win this prize if I hit 600. So then to stop and say, not, should I charge it or not? Because that's the question people ask. The question should be, where can I sell some more Mary Kay? Right? Who can I call? Who said they wanted a makeover? Me? Because when you have that attitude, a lot of times you can be like, oh, you know what? That girl from work said that she would do it after the new year or after the summer or whatever. You call her and say, hey, you want your makeover tomorrow? She could do a $200 makeover and you're done and you did it right. So if you're not where you want to be, check in each week, see where you're at. And if it's like the last week of the month and you're behind, don't start thinking, oh, should I or should I not? Think, who can I book at the last minute? Who ordered a skincare set 3 months ago or more that maybe is running low? Sometimes a couple of calls, that solves your problem. Over-ordering is a major problem because it doesn't feel good to have too much inventory. It's terrible to not have enough inventory, but it doesn't feel good to have too much inventory either. There's that sweet spot, right? Now, number 2 problem, unnecessary expenditures. And I already talked about that a little bit. The fancy bookcases, the advertisements, stuff like that. And sometimes too, Section 2 items. Section 2 items are like samples, stuff like that. Sometimes I'll see people and they'll place a $225 wholesale order and $100 worth of samples. They're like, I want samples of every lipstick. I want samples of everything. I'm going to make goodie bags and give them out to everyone I meet. Just watch your expenses, because Section 2 is dangerous because it's super cute. right? It's like babies are cute. Like anything junior size is cute. So sometimes people think, oh my gosh, if I give out these bags of samples, people will surely want a makeover. Maybe. Or maybe they'll feel like they don't need a makeover because they already have a whole bag of samples. So like if you really want to give something a gift, take like one eyeshadow sample and staple it to a business card, and only give it to people who give you their number back. Just be careful of Section 2. And then the third way that people get into fiscal mismanagement is embezzling, okay? So this can go one of two ways, okay? So that can be taking your Mary Kay credit card, whatever credit card you use for Mary Kay, maybe for your inventory, and then you're at the store and you buying groceries, and you're like, oh, I forgot my other card. I'll just put on my Mary Kay. Or you say, oh, you know what? I don't have enough to pay for this. I've been working so hard with Mary Kay. I'll just put on my Mary Kay credit card. And now your Mary Kay credit card's going up with non-Mary Kay stuff. So that's one way to embezzle. The other way to embezzle is the other way to go, and that's when you're like, I need to place a Mary Kay order, but I don't have any money in my Mary Kay account, so I'll just put it on my regular Visa or my regular Discover, or I'll do it on my Land's End card because then I get points. Don't do that, okay? So Mary Kay stuff, you should pay with Mary Kay money other than your initial investment, and home expenses should be used with your home money. The only exception I have is sometimes for travel. So let's say you're like, you know what, I really want to go to career conference, and I really want to go to seminar in Dallas. So you could say to yourself, I should pay for it from my Mary Kay money. That's the right thing to do. And I always say, well, get off your high horse for a minute. Is it the right thing to do? Like, have you ever gone away for a weekend with girlfriends? Because if you have, and you don't have a lot of money in your Mary Kay account, maybe you haven't done a lot, maybe you're new, or maybe you're just gearing up. If you have enough money in your regular account, say, I'm going to go away for career conference for the weekend, or I'm going to go to Dallas, and I have the money from my regular life, and I'm just going to pay for it. I'm not going to sit there and make myself sell enough lipsticks to earn every single penny. Then sometimes that's a kind thing you can do for yourself, as long as you can afford it with your regular life. Some people aren't in that position. Some people are like, if I don't earn every penny, I can't afford career conference and I can't afford summer. Then fine, you go out there, you hold parties, and you use the money. But sometimes people are so set on those trips having to come from their Mary Kay money, which is fine if they actually do have to. But if you and your husband, if you're married, if you guys have some disposable income, then, and you can just treat yourself to seminar, then I don't have any ethical issue with that. I think that's a wonderful gift that you're able to give yourself. Now, what I like to do with the Mary Kay credit card, so I'm talking about your initial investment, whether it's your Mary Kay credit card or whether it's you're putting it back in your savings or whatever, you want to have a schedule for when you pay it. Okay, now we said it was going to be $100 a month. That's my recommendation. You can send whatever you want, obviously. You either want to send it every week, take your pay every week, from what you sold, or pay yourself once a month and pay it once a month. But you want to have some sort of a schedule. I like to, when I've had credit card debt in the past, I've always paid it once a week. And that is what helped me pay off my credit card debt. At one point, I had a tremendous amount of credit card debt. And by the end of the month, I never had enough left over to pay down enough. And it was just went on for the longest time. I don't know if anyone can relate to this. And then what I found, if I paid it every week, that I didn't have enough time to spend the money, so that I wound up sending a lot more. So if it's easier for you to send $25 a week or $50 a week or $30 a week or whatever, then go ahead and do that. All right, hang on one second. Comment. Shh. Comment. I'm making a video. Comment. Shh. Good boy. He's protecting me from somebody who clearly wants to break into my house. All right, so another way that people have problems, and I find it very difficult to persuade people away from doing this, but this drives people out of Mary Kay faster than anything else. They borrow from their 60% count to pay their bills. So for example, they sell their $1,000, right, for the month. I'm just making that number up because it's a nice round one. 600 stays in Mary Kay to order those products, 400 is your profit. And then they're like, oh no, my brakes went. My transmission, I have a $900 bill, and I have no money in my personal checking account, so I'm going to use my Mary Kay money. Thank God for Mary Kay. No, not thank God for Mary Kay. This is you fiscally mismanaging your money and embezzling from your business. You can't do it because you needed that 600. Either you owe people products, and you can't make them wait, number one. Number two, or the other situation is that you use the products from your inventory, and by spending that money, you now aren't going to be able to replace those products. So before you had, 4 miracle sets on hand, and now you have 2, and you can't get the other 2. And people say, well, what could I do? And here's what I would say. You would have found another way. Think about it today. If you got an $800 bill, $900 bill for your car, and your car was not drivable unless you could come up with $800 or $900, then what would you do? You'd find a way to get your car, right? Because you need your car. Like, you can't be without your car. You need it. So as women, we find money. But it's really easy to say, I had no choice. I had to use my Mary Kay money. And it's like, if you do that, then, and this happens all the time. I know people that do this. They have their inventory. They get themselves up to full inventory. And then they start taking, oh, well, I sold this, but I already have 3 on my shelf, so I won't reorder one. Oh, you know what? I had to spend the money, so I couldn't reorder that. And before they have a few things left. And then they're like, oh my God, this is so hard. I have no inventory. I don't know where the money went. You spent it on your breaks and the time you went out to eat and all these other things. If you take it off your shelf, you have to replace it. Or if you don't, you're deficit spending within your business. Once that money goes into your Mary Kay account, that 60%, you have to pretend it's not even there. It would be nice if I could find a way to shut that off, but I don't know how. So, all right, and there's a really wonderful technology that exists that will prevent you from doing this. And it's called a money bag or an envelope. So whenever, because the easiest way to do this is with your cash too. When people pay you with credit cards, it's easy. That goes into ProPay. If someone pays you with a check, you can't really do anything to it but put it in your Mary Kay checking account. When someone pays you with cash, it's really easy to shove that in your wallet. And then you're like, oh, I got to get to the bank, right? But then you're at the store and you're like, where'd this $20 bill come from? And sometimes you remember, sometimes you don't. So you want to have a money bag, and if you don't have one, you can win one from me. And if you don't know how you can win one, just ask me and I'll tell you. And then the money goes in there, you zip it up, and then that money, it's like a magic lock. It can't be opened until you get to the bank. Super, super important, okay? The other thing that's really important to manage your money well is to keep track of your sales on your weekly accomplishment sheets. Your weekly accomplishment sheet is an online form that you can fill out through Mary Kay InTouch. You go to InTouch, you go to business, and under that, one of the things is weekly accomplishment sheets. And if you want to know how to fill it out, and you go to Deirdre.pink, DEIRDRE.pink, that's our unit website, where this video is posted as well. Then under our unit favorites, the big pink heart, under training, you'll see a video on how to fill out your weekly accomplishment sheet. And so basically what you do is you're the client's name or the hostess's name, how much time you spend, how much money you collected, how much tax you collected, and if you gave any products away for free, like hostess credit. Mary Kay keeps track. So at the end of the year, you have a list of everything you've ever sold, how much tax you collected, any products that you gave away for hostess credit, or maybe you just gave someone a free lipstick for doing an interview or whatever. It's all on there. You have all that recorded there, which is incredibly valuable. And that's good for taxes, although that's not all you need for taxes. But what it does do is, more importantly, is you can stop and look and say, how is my business going? Wow, look, at the end of the year, I held 5 parties. I held 50 parties. You need to know. This is how much, it calculates how much you made per hour. How much should I make per hour? Where am I making my money? Am I making my money more on reorders or parties? And how could I up them? So this is a strategy for you to be able to look and see, where am I making my money? And then once you submit it, at the end, it will say, submit to your sales director and hit yes. And then that's how it gets to me and you get recognition for the newsletter. But it's also helpful because sometimes I'll look at them too and be like, wow, look at this. This person held this many parties and she did such great sales, but she only sold 2 skincare sets. So sometimes I'll look at that and say, hey, you want some tips on selling skincare sets? So it's a way to communicate with me with data. It gives me data to help support you better too. So it's super important. So those are the main things that I want you to think about for money management. Make sure you have that checking account. Make sure you have a savings account or somewhere that you're going to be putting your profit. Make sure that you're doing that 60-40 split as soon as you have enough inventory. Until you have enough inventory, just keep building it up. And I will also give you another tip. Sometimes people that might start with a 600 or a 1200 or less than that. And then they've been doing it for a little bit and they're like, man, I hate not having inventory. You don't have to just build it up from your sales. You can stop and say, you know what? I'm going to place another 1200. I'm going to place another 600. You can do that at any time and just get yourself to profit level. So it's ideal when you can start with that. But if you can't, either fiscally, you just don't have the money to do it, or you don't have the confidence. For me, I could have started with more inventory when I was a newer consultant. I did start with some, but I lacked confidence in myself and also in Mary Kay. I wasn't sure you could really make money at this. I didn't know people that had done well with it at that time, so I was very skeptical. But then once I'd been in for a while, I was like, you know what, this is an awesome company. I've met a ton of people that make money, and I'm sick of not having product. So then I ordered more. So those are my tips for money management. Please let me know if you watch this, if you have any questions, and if you don't have a money bag and you want to learn how to win one, text me and I'll give you a challenge. All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching.